Your child just refused to eat dinner because the fork was the wrong color and you switched it without thinking twice. Crisis resolved in 30 seconds. And in those 30 seconds, you accidentally delivered a lesson that will outlast childhood entirely. Not a lesson about forks. A lesson about what happens when the world does not immediately arrange itself to their preference. That lesson is, discomfort is an emergency, and someone will always appear to make it stop before you have to manage it yourself. This is how capable children grow up avoiding hard conversations, leaving difficult jobs, and walking away from anything that resists them. The child next door who can recite every country's capital at age 5 is not demonstrating intelligence. They are demonstrating compliance. Real intelligence gets built in the exact moments most parents race to eliminate: boredom, frustration, failure, and genuine struggle.
Every time you rescue your child from those moments, a specific kind of wiring is being laid down that becomes harder to reverse over time.
The uncomfortable truth about what most parents are actually building without realizing it sits right here at the center of this. Most parents are raising high-performing children without realizing that performance and thinking are two entirely different developmental outcomes. A child who memorizes impressive things on a schedule looks remarkable in photographs and in conversations with other parents at school pickup. A child who is actually thinking looks like someone staring out a window, making a plan, which does not photograph particularly well. Their brain is quietly learning. When this gets hard, I cannot manage it, and someone who can manage it will arrive if I wait. The words you use every single day are doing something to the architecture of how sophisticated their thinking is allowed to become. Language is not just communication. It is the material your child's brain uses to build the structures it will think with for life. Baby talk feels like warmth and connection. And in the moment of saying it, that feeling is completely real and not wrong at all. But when you say doggy instead of golden retriever, you are handing their brain a smaller file to store and build future connections from. When you say big truck instead of excavator, you're not being kind. You're quietly limiting what their vocabulary ceiling can hold. Children whose parents use precise and varied language show measurably stronger comprehension and reasoning ability several years down the road. You do not need to use technical terminology at breakfast, but you can say scraped your knee instead of boo-boo without difficulty. That is called an abrasion. Let us clean it carefully so it does not get infected. They will not understand abrasion yet, and that is fine. Their brain is cataloging the word, building connections around it, storing it for a future moment when it will suddenly make complete sense. Narrate what you're doing as you move through your day and name what you observe with the actual words those things deserve. We are folding laundry. This shape is a rectangle. It has 4 sides and 4 corners. We are matching socks that are identical. You are showing them that observation leads to language. Language leads to thinking. And thinking is something that happens out loud between people. Boredom is not a problem your job is to solve. It is a developmental environment your child's brain genuinely needs to enter regularly. When your child announces they are bored, something in most parents activates instantly and reaches for the nearest available solution. Tablet, television, snacks, phone, whatever eliminates the complaint fastest becomes the automatic response without much examination of what it costs. When children experience genuine boredom, their brain enters a mode responsible for imagination and self-directed creative thinking specifically. This mode does not activate any other way. It requires the absence of external stimulation to switch on and do its particular work. Boredom tolerance is the foundation of creativity, independent problem solving, and the capacity to generate your own direction without instruction. Children who learn to move through boredom become adults who can identify what they want and pursue it without waiting to be told to begin.
Children who receive instant entertainment every time discomfort appears become adults who need constant input and struggle to initiate anything alone.
Boredom is where children invent things. The games are sometimes annoying and sometimes genuinely creative, and both outcomes are worth having. Picture your child at 26, staying in a situation they hate because they never developed the patience to sit with not knowing yet. Your response when they say they are bored. Your brain is ready to make something. What can you build with what is already here?
Then leave the room. They will complain. That is fine. Struggle is the training, and removing it is not protection. It is deprivation. Reading to your child every night is good, but how you read matters as much as whether you read, and most parents miss this entirely.
Reading at a child while they listen builds calm and routine, which are both valuable and neither of which is the same as intelligence. Reading with a child, stopping, asking, wondering aloud together, builds comprehension, pattern recognition, and analytical thinking simultaneously. What do you think is going to happen next? Why do you think that character made that choice? What would you have done differently? These questions are not interruptions to the story. They are the most cognitively valuable part of the entire reading experience for that child. Children who experience this kind of interactive reading show significantly stronger ability to reason through unfamiliar problems years later. The child in 5th grade who asks why instead of just writing down the answer. That habit started during bedtime reading at age 3. When your child's block tower is about to fall and every instinct tells you to catch it, the most useful thing you can do is wait. You can see from where you're standing that the structure is unstable and collapse is coming in the next 30 seconds or less. Every loving impulse fires simultaneously. Catch it, fix it, prevent the frustration. Make this moment not happen for this child you love. But if your child learns that frustration always summons a rescuer, they will not build the internal capacity to rescue themselves later on. Children who experience natural consequences develop measurably stronger problem-solving ability and resilience than those who are consistently protected from outcomes. The 19-year-old who drops the hardest class the moment difficulty appears learned something early about what difficulty is supposed to trigger. They learned it means stop, retreat, wait for conditions to improve, or find someone who will make the obstacle go away for you. Let the tower fall. Not your child, just the tower. Your role is not to prevent the fall, but to be steady when it happens. That is frustrating. What do you think caused it? Do you want to try building it a different way this time and see what happens? You are not teaching them about blocks. You are teaching them that failure produces information, and information is what you build the next attempt from.
Children ask why constantly, and the question that sounds like it is about the sky is almost never actually about the sky at all. Every why is your child attempting to reverse engineer how reality operates, which is exactly what scientists and innovators do for a living.
Your exhausted brain at the 400th why of the day wants to answer efficiently, so the questions stop arriving for a few minutes. Option 1. Because of how light scatters through the atmosphere. Accurate, complete, instantly forgettable, and the conversation is now over. Option 2. What do you think? What have you noticed about the sky at different times of day? What patterns have you seen? Option 1 gives them a fact that will not be retained. Option 2 teaches them to observe, hypothesize, and reason through uncertainty. When you always provide the answer, you are teaching them that answers live in other people, and their job is to locate the right person. There is a second layer here that most parents overlook entirely because it requires making your own thinking visible rather than just your conclusions. Your child watches you cook dinner and sees a meal appearing. They cannot see the sequencing and problem solving happening inside that process. Make it visible out loud. The rice takes 20 minutes and the vegetables take 10, so I will start the rice first and add vegetables later. When you think out loud, your child is watching a mind in operation. They are learning what planning actually looks and sounds like in practice. When they are 16, making decisions under pressure, they will not draw on advice you gave them. They will draw on process they witnessed. Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck spent decades researching what praise actually does to children's relationship with challenge and difficulty. The phrase, "You are so smart," sounds like encouragement, and it functions as a ceiling. Here specifically why that is true and consequential. When intelligence is the thing being praised, intelligence becomes the identity being protected, and challenge becomes a threat to that identity directly. A child who has been told they are smart cannot afford to struggle visibly, because struggling would mean the label might not actually be accurate. So they avoid the problems that might expose them, procrastinate on the work that might prove them limited, and retreat from genuine difficulty.
Children praised for intelligence avoid challenges, abandon effort quickly when progress stalls, and interpret failure as evidence of a fixed personal ceiling.
Children praised for effort seek harder problems, persist through difficulty because persistence is what earned the recognition, and treat failure as data. Instead of, "You are so smart," try, "You stayed with that problem even when it was not working," and that is how thinking actually gets stronger. The message shifts from "you are a fixed thing called smart" to "you are someone who grows through the specific act of trying harder." They are not afraid of failure in the abstract. They are afraid of losing the version of themselves that your applause helped them become. Every time you call them brilliant, you give them a reputation to protect. Every time you praise their effort, you give them a method to use. Intelligence is not something your child arrived with in a fixed quantity that your job is to display and protect from contradiction. It is built through thousands of small interactions where you teach them how to approach problems, not which answers to produce for you. The child who will handle complexity well at 30 is not the one who memorized the most impressive things at the earliest possible age. It is the child who learned to tolerate not knowing, push through resistance, ask better questions, and treat mistakes as the beginning of learning.
The neighbor's child may be able to recite more facts today, and that performance will matter less and less as problems become genuinely hard.
Your child is building something slower and less photographable and more durable, the thinking architecture that holds up when facts are not enough. Memorization looks like intelligence because it sounds like intelligence, but thinking looks like a child at a table, staying with something difficult. That child at the table staying with something difficult is the one you're actually trying to raise, even when it is harder to watch.